Okay, folks, we are back. It is, a few hours removed from a couple of heroic finishes here at Hardrock. There are finishers streaming into town about a block and a half from where we sit now. But right now we are joined by the champion of the 2025 Hardrock 100, Katie Schide. Katie, nice to see you.
Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, I was getting updates from your run last night, too.
Yeah, and I was providing updates to Germain, too. And of course, also joining us, third place finisher in your debut Hardrock 100, Germaine Grangier. Germain, how are you feeling, buddy?
Tired, yeah. yeah, but happy.
Yeah, I think we're all a little fatigued in the studio here, but some of us have better excuses than others. Ryan was behind the scenes, saying, yeah, we're all equally fatigued here, but you guys made your way around the loop in very impressive fashion. I can't wait to talk about it. Maybe just starting, Katie, I'd love to get both you guys to just share top line takeaways from your first Hardrock. How did it compare to expectations?
I think my expectations were to not have expectations, and it was even beyond expectations.
Isn't it weird, like as a race of just like, it's no matter how fit you are, how trained, like you're out there and you're pretty much solo. And I don't know, it's just like, it's a difficult thing to like really describe, but I don't know, like I'd just be curious to hear you both share just like how it felt being out there. Sarah, do you want to try?
Yeah, I guess I agree. There is this like first part of the race where you're pretty much solo, as you would say. But then when you get the pacer, it's for me it was my first experience, and it was something I really enjoy actually, to have people with me, which is weird. I would have think I would not, but yeah, I really enjoy having you and Cordis on site, and also the first time I finished a race early morning, I would say, which is weird because you're just like you're tired, but it's not time to sleep. You know, like you don't know what to do, so it's a bit weird.
So we just do Freetrail interviews.
Yeah. Katie said, I just had a coffee. I'm still running on adrenaline. Yeah, I mean, you guys will probably crash out here pretty soon at Meredith and Paul Terranova's place in Twin Lakes. But all right, so maybe let's do just quick kind of like running through the races. And Germain, maybe we can start with you. I think, from memory, it was kind of Zach and Matt out front early, but then you guys all kind of came together, it seemed like, through the Polk Creek section. Maybe just share a little bit about the dynamic with that little group that you guys had until Ludo sort of broke away.
Yeah, you're right. I think Zach and Mathieu started a little bit faster. And then, kind of in the Polk Creek area, we kind of gathered. And it's when we understood that Ludo was on another level and another like downhill commitment today. That was like just crazy to see the gap he would open in just a single downhill. Yeah. And he kept doing that, like, the Polk Creek downhill, then the Handies downhill, then Bear Creek, then he was also extremely good going uphill. So, he was just like super impressive. Yeah.
So from watching the live stream, Ludo came into Sherman with a slight gap on the three of you guys. Had he opened that up on the downhill from Cataract Lake? And then were you and Matt and Zach kind of working together at all there in those early miles?
Yeah, he opened that gap pretty quickly. Yeah, from the, after the Cataract Lake, there is a little bit of like rolling terrain before it really drops. Yeah. And then, he opened like 3 to 4 minutes on just like this, 30-minute section. So, that was like impressive. We didn't know if he was just like a single push, but no, like, we were talking with Zach and Mathieu about that. And it's like pretty mind-blowing what he can like just handle, because I feel if we do like 2 or 3 downhills like that, then we can race the rest of the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So impressive. Okay, Katie, maybe same question to you. If you could just kind of walk us through the first part of the day. I think, from my perspective, it was funny because, I was just kind of checking in intermittently. We were up on like Cross American Pass watching these guys. And then when I would get reports from the course, it was like, Katie's suffering, but she's well under course record pace. And I think that sort of became more the narrative, like as we got deeper into Hardrock. But maybe you could just share from your perspective, sort of like how things were going early.
Oh yeah, from the beginning, everything was good. I stuck to my plan of being really patient, and I was really confident that everything would be fine because I was running a lot more conservatively than I would normally run in a race.
Yeah.
And I felt super good until just before cresting Handies. And I just had a lot of trouble breathing there. But that came back actually pretty quickly once I descended into Animas Forks. So I thought, okay, it's just the high elevation. I'll just keep that in mind for the next, like the tops of the next climbs. Like maybe it's a time to like lay off a little bit. But then coming into Ouray, I don't know what it was, either the super long Bear Creek downhill section or that mixed with like the heat.
Yeah.
I had just like crazy like bloating and gas in my stomach. And that's what I was doing that everyone was watching in Ouray. I was just trying to burp, basically. Everyone thought I had like breathing problems, but it was much simpler than that. So that's why I was chugging Coke, trying to get some bubbles going.
Valve,
Eventually, it didn't work. And eventually we just said, okay, it's better just start jogging and get things moving. But at that point, basically my pacer, Eric, who took me from there, was just... like looking at paces and other splits from past years, and he was like, you're moving just fine, you're just really uncomfortable. So that was really reassuring to me. That's like, okay, I just feel bad, but I'm actually moving. Okay. So
yeah, I want to come back to that. And it was the I Run Far update when you came off the trail and hit the dirt road on the short climb up to Animas, where I think Brian Powell reported like, Katie's looking a little off, but like she's obviously moving really well. She's under course record pace, but clearly starting to feel the effort. And that's kind of the story with Hardrock, is it kind of just builds and builds and builds. And then eventually for a lot of people, you just kind of like crack, but neither of you guys did, but obviously many people have experienced that on the course. Jermo, coming back to you, I'd love to hear, because when we saw you at Cross American Pass, you guys were working together. It was Matt, Zach, and yourself, separated by like less than a minute by the time you were hitting the road to Animas Forks. Tell me about when that started to separate, because eventually Matt sort of established himself in second, and then you passed Zach moving into third, and he faded back a little bit. But I'd love to hear a little bit about like when your guys' little group started to spread out.
Yeah, I was a little bit behind them in Sherman. Then I catched up in I would say in the middle of Andy's climb, and then we were all together. Kind of in Animas Fork, and then it's when like I think we run the engineer pass, like we were like 30 seconds from each other for like 1 hour or something, and I think that's where the thing set up in the engineer climb. Mathieu was like 30 seconds in front of me, Zach was like 30 seconds behind, and we were kind of working to try to close those gaps, and I think from there the ranking didn't change. Just like Mathieu took a little bit more times, and sometimes I would catch up a bit, and then he would open a bigger gap. Then I would, it stays around like 20 minutes more or less. And Zach had like some stomach problem. Starting in engineer, and I think in Ouray he was not in a good place.
So then you and I left Ouray together at like, I don't know, like 5:30, 5:45 p.m. last night. Started that long vertical mile ascent up to Kroger's Canteen, Virginia's Pass. And I asked you, is this the first time you've ever had a pacer? You said, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do my job, just sort of checking in with you, making sure everything was good. But like, it seemed like all systems were, in good condition. You never complained at all. which I certainly have in that section a couple
Really?
of times. But
Oh yeah.
maybe share a little bit about your mindset there, because that's really, in my mind, going counterclockwise when things really get hard is going up Campered Road, because you're now over halfway into the race, but you still have like so far to go and the hardest part of the race ahead of you. So bring us into that moment.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I had the chance that it was my first hard rock, so I didn't realize. In my head, I was like, once we eat Hilary, it's just like we are coming back home, But that was like more of a roller coaster than the other direction.
It's a long way home.
Yeah, in my head, I was like, okay, just get to Telluride, and it's like, but yeah. Once we like did that section, I met Cordis and he was like, okay, now four climbs left. I was like, okay, yeah, 4 climbs left. I forgot. And then those are long climbs. And the downhills are like equally hard than the uphills. You're not moving fast. Yeah, once you live to the right, it's like you don't have a lot of running left.
Oh yeah, you're just
stuck.
Hike up and do your best to trot down.
Yeah.
Well, just from my perspective, one of the funnest runs in recent years for me, frankly, was going up that pass with you last night, enjoying the sunset, cruising down from Virginius into Telluride. It was a highlight for me. So thank you for that. It was really, really fun.
Thanks for being there. And it was it's definitely a big advantage to have like someone like you can rely on. Like you were telling me to eat gels and stuff like that, which is like sometimes I
was like, what are the basic tasks of a pacer? Okay, remind him to eat a gel every once in a while. Yeah. I think I told you at the top, like, hey, this next 20 minutes is really gonna suck. So just like you gotta be tough for a minute, and then we're gonna go downhill. That was my piece of sage advice. Katie, coming back to you, I was talking to Eric Sorensen, your pacer, on the section I did with Germain from Uray to Telluride. And he said that at Governor, like things were kind of touch and go. I don't know if you felt the same way, but he said that you said something like, I'm not really sure what to do. Like, I'm not feeling very good. And I've been in that place at Governor too with Topher, our mutual friend of everybody here, of like, I don't know if I can make it to Telluride. Should I turn back to Uray? I definitely can't make it all the way to Silverton. Like, I don't know. It's just another one of those moments in the race where doubts can really surface. From your perspective, was Eric correct in his interpretation?
Yes. I mean, I definitely was in like a tricky spot, but I think when I'm in those like situations where I'm like dizzy and a bit overwhelmed and like trying to make a decision, I'm often like looking for someone to just like tell me something. It doesn't even have to be related to what the problem is. Just like do that. And then it like gives me some like a task. Yeah. But he was great. Actually, he was just like, it's fine. You're moving fine. So if it sucks, it sucks, but you're still moving fine. So let's just go. And I was like, yes, okay. But I think it was also when you're there, like the enormity of the rest of the course is in the back of my head, and knowing that it's like pretty exposed and like technical trails and not like a place you want to fall. Yeah. But I mean, echoing what Germain said, like I really don't know how the whole thing would have gone without having pacers. And I'm someone who like at Western States, like I think I run better without a pacer. But here, I think, I mean, even from just the safety perspective, like we weren't near anyone. Like if I had fallen, it was on like Cody or Eric to help me.
I want to ask Zach about that in particular, because I kind of feel the same way. Somebody who like sees it from his perspective of like, sometimes it is good to just lock into your zone, not have somebody sort of like barking in your ear or dictating the pace for you. But at Hardrock, man, it is nice to have a companion, especially going through the night. Katie, did you know where you were relative to the record throughout the day? Like just having seen you at a couple of the aid stations and just like see how you operate and stuff, like it's hard to tell like what type of information you're internalizing or what really you want to hear. I'm sure listeners would love to know like your process in the race like what sort of information is important and whether you knew you were objectively running the best hard rock ever.
I had written down a bunch of like a range of splits from different people from past years. And I think when you're sitting in France looking at splits, you can be overly confident. And then when you get on the course and start seeing some of the downhills and feeling the altitude, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I was, not being humble enough. So I wrote down a range and like kind of picked a halfway point just for my like nutrition planning. But I knew some of like major ones, I knew like the first couple just to keep me in check. If I was going way too fast, I would know to slow down. But I didn't have anything super specific. And I think sometimes it's interesting we say like the course record pace, but that's somebody else's pace, right? Like there's many ways to get to the same end time. So when people are like, you're an hour below the pace or an hour behind the pace, like that's how that person ran it. So I try not to listen to comments like that. Just like if you have your plan on how you want to feel, then you can follow that. But then, yes, my pacers were more researched than I was and giving me like more exact splits.
So interesting. So then, Germain, I didn't write down your final finishing time, but I think it would be fun to hear just what you mentioned earlier, right? Like you've been on the podium of UTMB. Like there's nothing more probably intense that an athlete can feel than descending into Chamonix, coming into the finish line with thousands of spectators. Here at Hardrock, it's the pre-dawn darkness. There's probably like a dozen people there clapping quietly. Share about that experience. And I'm sure people would love to hear you talk about just the interaction with Ludo and Matt after you finished.
Yeah, that was interesting because, I think as Katie said, like when you plan your race, you're just like, 22, 23 hours, but then you get smoked by the race route. And actually, that was funny because at some point in the middle of the downhill, Cordis told me, okay, let's try to be below 24 hours. and then he pushed me, but we failed, I think 24, 3, stuff like that. But he didn't tell me because I didn't have battery anymore on my watch, so I didn't have the timing. So he was just pushing me so hard, and it was so funny to just try to break a symbolic like time, like with no one around, and just pushing on your own, like in. But I think once we arrived, like the first question I asked those guys, because we had discussion before, and I told them, so what do you think? Hardrock is still harder than Diagonal des Fous. That was the thing. Yeah. And before Mathieu and Ludo, like 2 weeks ago, they said, Diagonal des Fous is more technical, so it's harder. But then Mathieu told me, no, it's harder here, for sure.
Manon said the same thing. I asked her.
I know.
How do your guys' I was meant to look at that. How do your guys' times compare between Hardrock and Diagonal des Fous? Faster or slower?
I think it's around the same.
My Hardrock's faster, but I had a pretty bad. I had a big experience.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Okay, so Katie, one of the things I cornered you into commenting on before the race was the career Grand Slam. And the thing that I didn't realize is that your last 400 milers, you did the career Grand Slam. Of course, you had already won UTMB once. So Diagonal des Fous 2023, you won. Western States 2024, UTMB 2024, Hardrock 2025. You won the career Grand Slam in your last 400-mile races. Take a victory lap, please.
Wow. I didn't I didn't do that math.
Yeah.
I think the next challenge is to do it in the calendar year.
Yes. Yes.
Like within 12 months.
Yes.
But Courtney did that.
Oh, she did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
12 months?
Yeah, because she did Diagonal des Fous the October before she did the 3.
Oh, wow. So then you have the king of the king.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I do think it's perfect too. So Courtney has the record at Western States, Diagonal des Fous. You have the record at UTMB.
Well, there's no record at Diagonal des Fous. They changed the
different?
course quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, well, never mind. But either way, congratulations.
She would probably, if there was a record, she would have it. She had an incredible race that day. So
I think one thing that would be interesting to talk about is like, so you finish in 25:50, first ever under 26 hours. So you're about 20 minutes below the existing course record, about 23 below the course record in this direction for people who care about that stuff. But like, I think it's especially interesting that you had what was objectively the best hard rock ever on a day where it seems like you had a really rough day. And I think a lot of people, what I remember Gwen Jorgensen, the great American triathlete, say something about how like feelings don't necessarily dictate like your eventual performance. Is there anything there that would be interesting to talk about just sort of like sticking with it, even when it seemed like your crew chief, Meredith Terranova, said to me in no uncertain terms, like, she's not feeling good. But you ran 25:50 and broke the course record. I don't know. Is there anything there that would be interesting about just like, even on an imperfect day, being able to still stick one?
I think it's been a while since I've had a race where I've felt good the whole, I kind of have this, I feel like for everybody at some point you're going to feel bad. That's why we come here. If you feel like super easy the whole time, you're probably not racing at some point. Like you're going to have something to overcome.
Of course.
I guess it was really helpful to have pacers like kind of evaluating externally and telling me like, no, you actually look good. Because I think when you end up alone in that situation, you can just get in this spiral of like, I'm not moving, I feel terrible. But when you have someone else telling you like, just basically suck it up because you're fine, then it can help a lot. We
were talking about that because having seen Zach at a bunch of the aid stations without a pacer, and he was consistently asking, where's Germain? It was like, man, and he was clearly...
He loves me so much.
But he was clearly suffering so bad. I was like, man, I just so admire that attitude, because like if I was suffering alone without a pacer, I'd be like, God, I suck. Like I screwed this one up. Like, would have spent a lot of time in the aid station with my head in my hands, like pouting or whatever. And he was consistently like looking forward, not sitting down, even though he was like clearly not having a good time. Which reminds me, I want to hear about your race with Zach. Because he said at the finish line that it was like sort of like a bare knuckle brawl out there between KT and the finish line. That was the most fun part of the entire race is when the aid station volunteer at KT said, you got one runner 1 minute ahead of you. And I turned to Cody and I was like, oh, but I thought David was like moving really well. Like everyone kept telling us that David was catching everyone. And he was like, no, it's Zach. And I was like, oh. And then it kind of like gave me like a thing. I mean, I was already had the course record in mind, but it gave us like an extra little like thing to chase. Yes.
And
so he Zach became another pacer, basically.
Yeah, he helped so like just having something to like kind of try to chase. But then he took off when we caught up to him. So
isn't this perfect? Zach ran without a pacer and he became the pacer for Katie to get the course record. Shout out to Zach Miller. Incredible.
When you race with Zach, it's you can tell when like with he has such a like easy body language to spot, and you can tell when he's really pushing. And that's someone that will gives everything on like whatever situation, and that's really great to run with him.
Oh yeah, when I caught him, I knew there was no way he was gonna let me pass him. Cody was like, "Wow, that's impressive," and I was like, "Yeah, he still has like a fight in him. He's not letting us pass."
We pulled over on the last stretch between Mineral Creek and Silverton and watched you guys run past, and he had like a 5-minute gap on you, like absolutely, trying as hard as he could. And of course, you guys finished like about a minute apart, and really, really awesome scene here in Silverton. All right, well, maybe let's close down by just like kind of looking ahead a little bit. So, Germain, you won the 70K at Chianti, 5th at Madeira, 3rd here at Hardrock. An amazing first half of the season. I mean, that's already a lot of racing miles so far. To the extent you care to share, what are you thinking about for the rest of the season?
Well, yeah, I don't know. My main goal was to be able to race 100 miles again with no legs problem. So for me, that's the big takeaway of yesterday. Today. It was today. Yeah, I'm really happy about that, and my legs are finally working again. So yeah, I think I will need to sit quickly and think about what's next. Yeah. Probably, yeah, I still want to race another 100 miles, but I don't know which one.
Yeah.
It was another ton, but yeah.
Either the one that's really soon or the one that's a little bit later.
The one with 4 letter or the one with...
Well, I know he's eyeing Javelina.
Or the one on an island. Oh, yeah, you're going to Javelina.
Yeah, sure,
right.
sure, yeah.
That would be awesome, man. You'd love it. Get that golden ticket. Katie, same question to you. You won at Madeira. You broke the course record here. I know you're on Team USA at the World Championships at this point. ... Eyeball emojis.
Well, yesterday I retired from running.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Me too.
I told myself. Yeah.
Actually, yesterday was the beginning of my comeback. So this is perfect timing.
Take my spot. You know when you're running in the middle of an ultra and then you see just like a family having a nice relaxing picnic and you're like, why can't I just have a life like that?
You know, we actually had a picnic with your mom and dad in Telluride. Yeah, we were sitting and waiting for you there. And I was like, hey, are you Katie's mom and dad? Struck up a nice little combo.
Yeah.
Anyway, aside from, I'm reluctant to believe you that you're retiring, and I'm sure your millions of fans would love to hear. Obviously, understanding that you're like hours removed from a 26-hour run.
Yeah, our plan. I mean, we also do like discuss together like logistics, but our plan was to reevaluate after the race, see how we felt and how we haven't been below like 2,000 meters in 2 months now, so. See if suddenly we're just super fast at running at sea level.
I bet you will be.
I don't
maybe
think
a track 5K or cross country season or something. Okay. All right. Well, I won't press you guys anymore on that, but we'll be very excited to see what the second half of the season looks like. But in general, congratulations. Hardrock in the bag. It's a special frickin' race. It's always a special experience, and you guys did it. So congratulations. Any closing comments for your fans around the world?
Don't think so. I don't have anything to add. Yeah, I think it's just really great to be able to run Hardrock and finish with like 50 people, and I feel like every single one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool.
Yeah, we were saying it was even hard for us to leave the gym after the race because we knew every single person there. You can't just like weave through the crowd. In a good way. Like it's great. You know everybody around.
Yeah. It's a really, really special experience to be here. So to the viewers and listeners, gotta come to Hardrock eventually. But Germaine, Katie, congratulations on a great Hardrock. Germaine, so awesome to run together last night, man. Thank you for that experience. That was really great.
Yeah.
I hope you guys have a safe trip home and excited to see what you do for the rest of the season.